Good morning, everyone. It's Brenda Quintana here. I hope you are all doing well today. Let me know how you are in the comments, and I will talk to you all afterwards. So, today is Tuesday, and it's right after Easter. And this morning, I woke up at like 4 a.m. The wind was howling outside, and we live right next door to a house that has been under construction for a very long time. And they have the structure up now, but whenever there's a big windstorm, their stuff moves around. And last night I woke up at 4 a.m. and I couldn't get back to sleep because it was just the wind just kept howling. And then when it was finally time to get up, well, out of bed, it was raining, and so it set off my whole day in a weird way. I did walk on the treadmill this morning, but I feel like somehow, I don't know if you walk regularly or not, but when I go outside and I breathe the fresh air, it's a totally different experience than just walking on the treadmill. So I feel like my day has just kind of started off kilter somehow, and hopefully I can get my rhythm back because I am very much a routine person. I like to do things the same way almost every day because that's where my comfort zone is at. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But at least we're all here. It's Tuesday and it's Casing Tuesday. And today's the day when we take a card out of the catalog and we give it a makeover. I love this as a personal challenge for me because each week it is a consistent thing that I can do. We always have a new card. And if you're new to stamping, it's great too because it gives you a starting point. So it's really good for all of us to do this challenge. And we have a Facebook group for that. And I hope you will join us over on our Facebook group. It's called Casing Tuesday. And if you want to find it, just check down in the description of this video. There should be a link there for you to go over to the group and you can join. You can post your own card. And so it's just kind of a great way to check things out and share the card that you made based on the same sketch as me. So let's take a look and see what today's card is. Let me find it here. Okay. So this is what we call a slimline card, and you don't have to make a slimline card if you don't want to. I'm going to show you an option in my video on how you can do the same type of card and you just shrink it down a little bit. But it's kind of a long and skinny card, and you can orient it either way. It can either be a portrait or a landscape. In this case, it's a landscape, and I'll show you how I did mine in a moment. And then let's pull up the sketch for this card. Here it is. It's a very simple sketch. So the card front measures 8.5 by 3 5/8. So that means you're going to start with an 8.5 by 7 1/4 piece of cardstock, and then you're going to score the 7 1/4 inch side at the 3 5/8 inch mark. Or you can fold it in half. That's the other option. But you want the length of the card to be 8.5 inches. And then the layer for the designer paper is 8.5 by 2 3/8. And then that rectangle in the middle, you can use a die cut shape or find something that's about 5.5 and 2 3/4. Somewhere in there will give you a similar look for the card. All right. Are you ready to get started with me? So let me pop over to my other camera. Here it is. Let's talk about my cards first. So I just got the Flowering Tulips bundle recently, like within the last week or so. So I had never used it before. So even though it was used on the original card. I usually like to switch things out, but gosh, I really wanted to use the tulips because it was new. So I did, and I just changed some things around. You'll notice if you go back to the original card, it's on page 2 of the Jan to June mini catalog if you want to follow along from your catalog. The background for that card is Pool Party, and I'm using Pear Pizzazz. And I arranged my tulips a little differently. I really liked the card. Actually, it was my selection, the card, but I did not really love the way that the leaves were poking out of the floral arrangement, and I kind of cascaded my florals a little differently. So I really love how this turned out. And of course, this gorgeous background paper, the Flowering Fields paper. Get some of this paper if you love tulips, because they should have called it Flowering Tulips paper, because basically it's one big tulip fest on all those pages. So if you love tulips, this is a great paper, and it will only be available until June. In June, it is retiring, so don't miss out on getting some paper for your tulip projects. Okay, and then I made an alternate card, and this one's a little bit more sedate because I didn't use the colorful paper, but I just wanted to show you that basically you can do the same thing with a standard card. It's just going to shrink down a little bit. You won't see quite as much of the paper. So a standard card, 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored in half at the 4.25 inch mark. This piece is 2 3/8 inches wide by 5.5. So it's the same width as here. It's just showing just a little less. Also using the tulip paper. And instead of having this floral cascade, I just stamped and die cut one tulip. Instead of wrapping around, I just added a bow. But it's basically the same type of card, just shrunk it down a little bit. So you can definitely shrink your card down and make it a little smaller if you want to. Okay, let's talk about the products. So here's the Flowering Tulips bundle, and this bundle will be carrying over into the annual catalog, so that's kind of cool. There are different ways to do the tulips when you're creating tulips. I elected today to stamp and then die cut around. There's also a way just to make die cut tulips using these nifty little tulip pieces, and I have not yet, since this is new to me, I have not yet made these, but I can see here you die cut and you fold them, so it's going to be super cool. I will eventually make a card using die cuts. I don't like to typically mix and match die cuts with stamped die cuts because I like to kind of keep the style on the card similar. That just appeals to my brain. So watch for me later on when I do a die cut card, but I'll need a little bit more time to figure that piece out. So I want to share with you how to do that effectively. And remember, when you buy the stamp set and the die together, you can save 10%. Actually, I wanted to double check to see if that is a bundle in the new catalog. I'm going to do this off camera because I can't show the new catalog online yet. That catalog will be available on May 3rd. So I'm just sneaky peeking. Let me see. I wonder if they unbundled it. I'm just looking real quick. What are these? It's called Tulips. Okay, they'll be in alphabetical order. I can handle that. Okay, yes, so they unbundled it in the new annual catalog. So if you want to get these as a bundle, make sure you get them before the end of June, because after that point, you're going to have to buy these separately, and you won't be able to get them at the savings price of 10% off. Okay. Then we have the Scalp Contours dies, and I love these dies. They're kind of they also match a stamp set, but the dies are just wonderful for creating decorative shapes. So that's the other one that I am using on here. Okay, let's get started on the card. So I use Pear Pizzazz, And this piece measures 8.5 by 7.25. And then I scored in half at the 3 5/8 inch mark. If you use a bone folder, you can just smooth down that fold and just make it your card lay nice and flat. Then look at this gorgeous paper. This is the Flowering Fields paper, and I've got tons of scraps. I've almost used up this whole pack, but it's just full of wonderful tulip patterns. There are also some neutral patterns. There's one that has no tulips on it whatsoever. That's this pattern. No tulips on that one. But other than that, all the other sheets, all the other 10 sheets have some sort of tulip on them, at least on one side of them. And so I'm going to take this piece, it's 8.5 by 2 3/8, and I am just going to glue it to the front of this card. This is just like the most bright, beautiful paper. The other paper I really love that's still, I think, available, it's retiring soon, is I think it's called Pansy Petals. That paper is also awesome. Okay. Just kind of centering this on here. So that will be the base. Doesn't that look good just on its own? I could just put a greeting on that just right here and it will be done. Okay, let's not give up so soon. So then the other thing, usually I do this at the end of the card, but I need to put this ribbon down first. So let me not forget to do this. This is fresh freesia ribbon. Let me reach over, grab my ribbon scissors. Okay, let's snip. Fresh freesia ribbon. Make sure it is not crooked. And we're just gonna tie one knot around here. Grab my tweezers. Okay. Aren't tweezers awesome? I just love, these are locking tweezers, and they also have another name. I forget what the other name they go by. But if you're ever looking for these, I found mine at in a craft store in the beading section. It came with a little set of a few other types of tweezers, but this is the one, this is the only one in the set I really use. I'm sure if you bead, you might use the other ones as well, but this one's just fabulous for tying ribbon. Okay, so I've got my card situation. Now we need to do some stamping. Okay, let's make some tulips. I've got some scraps of different paper here. I want to show you how I did all of the colors of the tulips. So let's grab the lightest color. We've got crushed curry here, and we're going to need these 3 stamps right here. So I think I've cleaned them, but let me just double check, because after a while these will get stained if you use any sort of red color, even like a dark purple sometimes. So we're going to start off with this one, which is kind of what I call the outline, and this one's going to be in the darkest color. And then we need just a little sheet. Let's put this here so you can kind of see my tulips. And then we're going to take, trying to decide. Okay, this one is the detail one. I'm going to take this one, stamp it off once on scrap paper, line it up over top, and then stamp it. So it's 2-step stamping. And then we're going to take Highland Heather. Let me just clean this off, make sure it's clean. Highland Heather ink, and then I'm just going to pop that in the center. So that's how I did that one. And then you can do the same thing. This is how I would do. This one's the one where you can't see. It's the tulip from the side. Let me make sure that's clean. Okay, pop this over to the side. So I would take crushed curry here. Let's just stamp this right here, full strength, and then take this one stamp off once. Oh, my ink pads, I need some inking over on that corner. Let me stamp that off. Make sure it looks uniform throughout. And then add that. So that's how the one goes that is from the side view. And I did that with all of the tulips. So let me grab the red and the purple. So let's do Highland Heather first. Just let's clean this off. I'm cleaning it off camera. Sorry, I should show you this. This is my chamois. It looks terrible, but it takes the ink right off of my stamps. And all you have to do is just reactivate this with water and rinse it off. This looks terrible, but it doesn't actually transfer the ink back onto my my stamps. So that's the miraculous thing about the chamois, is that it cleans your stamps really well. It looks hideous off on the side, so I don't tend to show it a lot, but I should because it just works so well. Okay, so I've got Highland Heather, full strength. Then I'll use the detail, stamp off once. Okay, and then for this one, clean this off. I've got my crushed curry over here, and I'll just put yellow on the inside. So there's my yellow and purple, and I would do this side view one in the same way, just full strength and then half strength, or stamped off once, whatever you want to call it. Okay, clean that off, clean this off, move my purple ink pad off to the side, got my red here. So then we'll do this one here. Full strength. Isn't that nice and bright? That's so beautiful. I'm going to clean this one off right away. Try to minimize the staining, but red does tend to stain. So, and then stamp off once. Come in, stamp off, and we can do yellow again for the center. If you want to, you could stamp this twice, this little inside. You can do it once in yellow, once in black. If you want to have, you know how sometimes the stamen are black, but there's also a little bit of yellow on the inside of the tulip. You can do that if you want to. I would look up, go on Google tulips, tulip images, and have a look and see what they look like, and then you can match colors accordingly. Okay, let's pop these out of the way. And then I want to also stamp some leaves. I've got here, I'm going to take a bigger scrappy piece. I want to stamp some leaves, and we've got two different types of leaves. And while I was doing this, I actually, this is Old Olive. I actually used the smaller leaf. And let me pop this onto here. And this is how the bigger leaf stamps. Okay. So this is not a two-step stamp. So if you think that this is too white, what I would do is just go over it with a sponge dauber. Just daub off a little bit, and you can make it like a slightly less white color. Let me see if I can show you that. Let me grab. I'm trying to find my old olive. I don't think I have one set up. I think one of my old olives it kind of bit the dust. But okay, so if I was just gonna daub this a little bit, daub off, you can kind of bring in just a little bit of Old Olive on here. And that just tones down just a little bit of the bright white. And then you can die cut that afterwards. Now, it doesn't look great right now because it's outside of the lines, but once you die cut it, it won't be outside the lines. The lines will all be cut off. So that is one way that you can do that. So once you're done with stamping all of them, you're going to run them through the die cut machine. And I did a bunch earlier today because I had been doing some experimenting. So I already die cut these. So let me just show you on here. These are, this one right here matches this one. And this one matches this one. And then you've got the two different leaves. So once you've got the leaves die cut, it's going to have a little less of the white on there. And that will just help tone it down. Now, if you've already got this one, I've got one cut. Let's just go ahead and daub on top of that one and see what that looks like. Just for the fun of it. Because we can, because we're here. So let's do this. Oops. Taking off a little bit of the bright white. There's still going to be kind of a light space, but now it's going to be just a little bit greener. I didn't do this on my original card, but let's see how it looks when I do it on the card I am making right now. Okay, let's pop off these onto the side. And we've got our little florals that we'll need in a second. And now I want to emboss the greeting. So I went ahead and I die cut this one a little earlier. This is the scalloped contours dies, and this is the second largest scallop rectangle. And I went and I die cut it, and I took two greetings. The greetings in this set are just gorgeous. There's a Happy Mother's Day, and then there's a Love You So Much. So what I decided to do was emboss it, because that's what the original card was doing as well. And we'll bring in some embossing powder, and we're just going to, I pre-mounted Happy Mother's Day and I Love You So Much right underneath it, and we're going to stamp this right in the top right corner. You cannot see that right now because Versamark is a clear ink, and then I've dumped my gold embossing powder into a little container. And this is in the metallics collection right now. If you're looking for it, don't look for gold, look for metallics. It comes in a set of 3, I think gold, silver, and copper are the 3 colors, if I remember correctly. Okay, I need to do this one more time. There's a few stray little fleckies. I'm just going to just get rid of them and bring over my heat tool. Put your embossing powder out of the way so you don't melt it in the container. And then I'm just going to heat this. Oh, I have to tell you a story. So on Easter morning, my husband and I, we were going for our usual walk. Just give me a second. Finish my story. I just want to make sure that this is all melted. I'm holding it up to a light a little bit. Let me finish my story. So we are walking along, and we turn onto a street, and we see a squirrel lying in the street, and we're like, oh no, a squirrel is dead in the middle of the street. So we stop by, and the squirrel is actually still alive. And I'm like, oh no, poor little guy, but he seems paralyzed because he's not running away from us. So we kind of just stand there and we kind of observe him, because I didn't want to pick him up. And we just kind of, because he's kind of in the street, I felt like maybe a car might run him over. So I just kind of blocked off just in case a car came by. It was like Easter morning, not too many people walking. And anyway, so we went to knock on the homeowner's door that was right near there because we knew him, and we asked him for like maybe a shoebox or something so we could move him off to the side. So anyway, he comes out, and the squirrel, there's someone else walking, and so suddenly the squirrel flips over, but he still's not moving. And then we move something around, and all of a sudden the squirrel takes off up into the tree. And I don't know, whenever I kind of like help an animal, I don't know if I help that much, but we kept him safe until he could recover enough to get away on his own, because normally a squirrel being approached by two humans would run. So there was definitely something wrong with him, and I just love that kind of it was a kind of a fun Easter morning story. Us and the squirrel, no one else around, and everyone else doing their Easter stuff, and we're out there keeping a little animal safe. I thought that was kind of fun. Okay, that was my story. Maybe it wasn't as exciting as I thought it was in my head, but all right, let's put this together. We're going to adhere this onto the card. So let's do that right now. And then we're going to arrange the tulips. Let's see. Do any of you guys have animal rescue stories? Do you like to rescue animals? I love it. It just makes my heart sing when I can help out a little animal. I feel really connected to animals for some reason. If there's anything I can ever do, I try to do it. Okay, so I've got this down here, and now the thing is we have to arrange the florals. So let me show you what I did. I just started kind of popping them on here. Now that I've got an arrangement I like, I'm just going to copy it, right? That's what I do. I like to spend a lot of time figuring out how I like something, and then I copy it over and over again. So I'm just going to kind of pop these on here, and this one. So you want to know a little trick. This leaf is rather long, and I could have stuck it under here, but guess what? If you cut it in half, now you have two leaves. You only had to stamp and die cut once. And what I'll do is I'm just going to kind of arrange this and see where I want it. I actually used, for my first card, I used the smaller leaf, but I had one of these bigger leaves left over, so I thought, okay, this is going to be good. I'm just going to use the one that I have. So I have an extra one of these left over. I could move this over here. No, I think, well, it does give some pop of color, but I don't know. I just kind of want the purple. I don't know. Yeah, I want purple over here. Okay, so I've got my arrangement. And what I'm going to do is start off with, it looks a little crazy right now because nothing's glued down. I'm going to start off with this one because that's going to be my center point, my focal point. And I'm going to stick a dimensional right in the center. And this is going to be the tulip that everything pivots around. If you put it in the center, then you can glue everything tucked around this one. So then this one comes in, and I'm just going to glue this one down, tuck it underneath just a little bit. Okay. Then we're going to, with this one right here, the leaf is going to tuck underneath here. So what I'm going to do is put just a little bit in the center. So then when I want to tuck in my leaf underneath there, it's not going to be glued down all the way. It's just going to be a partial glue. And then, I know this is kind of a crazy way to do it, glue here in the center again. Then I can tuck this one under, rotate it how I want it. And then this one just in the center, kind of rotate it. Okay. And then just want to see where I want to put this. Okay. Put a little tombow on the bottom. And then we're going to lift and tuck. All right, and then we've got this one. You just want to see where you want to put it. Yeah, that looks good. So just a little tombow there on the bottom, and then just lift it and tuck it in. Okay, so I liked the leaves, but on the original card they were sticking out too much, and I just wanted them to be just a little less and a little bit more of a flow to them. So that is how I did the arrangement. And then these brushed brass butterflies, these are my gift of the month. So if you spend $50 with me in April using the host code, I don't know if I can bring up the host code here. Let me see. Here it is. There it is. There's my host code for April. So if you spend $50 with me using the host code in April, you will get a package of a full package, not just my partial package of brushed brass butterflies sent to you in May. And these are just nice little accents. And if you're looking for the host code, I'm going to pop it away. If you're looking for the host code, you can find that down below in the description of my video. It's always there in case you're wondering where it is, in case I don't mention it. So I'm just going to take a couple of these little guys and just add them. They look really nice. Even though they're called brushed brass, they're very golden in color, so they match really nicely with the gold embossing powder. And it's a dull day here, so you might have a hard time seeing how nice the gold embossing and the the brass butterflies are reflecting the light, so it looks really nice. So okay, so I made those cards, and then I did not decorate the inside of the card, so I thought maybe we could do that now. And I haven't created a design yet, but I know I'm going to need a piece of white to write on here. So I cut a piece of cardstock. This is about 8.5 by about 3.5. But I think we need to go just a little bit thinner. Like, I think that's too thick. So let's make this 3.25 inches. I'm just going to cut it down to size just a bit. And then we can do one of two things. Like, we can take, I've got so many little paper scraps. I could add some paper scraps to the inside here. Like, you could take, let's see. So for this one, you know, I could add like a little strip here on both sides of here and here. I can do that. Let's grab this. So my width is 3.25. So let's make this 3.25. Cut it. And then I want either 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch. Let's do 1 inch and see how that looks. What this is going to do is it's going to give us a little, like, make the writing space a little narrower. I think 1 inch will be good, because it's nice to have a nice long writing space, but if it's only like for a little bit of length, it might look a little funny. So if we do this, it's going to help break things up. Let's have a look and see how this will look on the inside of the card before I commit to it. And so this is going to go right to the outsides. You know what? I think I'm going to bring this piece in just a little bit more, So this is 3 5/8. I took this down to 3 1/4. So basically I took about 3/8 of an inch off. So 8.5 minus, ooh, yeah, 8.5 minus 3/8 of an inch will give me 8 1/8, right? So let's take this down a notch and make it 8 1/8. And just cut off just a little bit. Let's see if that is more aesthetically pleasing. Let's put this on here. Add this here. I don't know, I think I might want to take it all the way down to 8 for some reason. Okay, I know it's 1/8 of an inch. This is the way my brain works. I'm very detailed when I'm going through things. So that's why it's good that most of the time I do most of my designing off camera, because my details would drive some people absolutely crazy, I think. Not everyone, but some people. Okay, I think now I've got the right amount of green space around here. That will make me happy. And it will make me even happier if I put the tulip heads facing the correct direction on both sides. Because if I don't, it won't look right. So, knock that off just a bit. Is it raining where you're at today? Anyway, it is. I think it stopped raining here. It's just super windy out there today. Maybe I will walk outside for my afternoon walk. Usually I walk on the treadmill in the afternoon and I walk outside in the morning. That's the way I roll. Okay, I noticed that this is just a little bit hanging over, so I just flip this over and I'll just trim off any tiny bit of paper that is hanging on there. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then we can add this to here. Okay. So that kind of looks like a nice spot to put your Mother's Day message, or my Mother's Day message. And you know, the other thing I could have done is I could have stamped and die cut some florals for the inside. That would be really easy to do as well. What I would do, I would probably use the same measurements. I ended up with 8 by 3 1/4. And I would probably stamp a few down here in this corner and maybe one up here in this corner. And I would use like a combination of the 3 colors I used on the outside. So, and then I would kind of, that would add like a little bit of flower to the card, because it's very plain on the inside with just the cream card paste if you don't add a little bit of pop of color on the inside. You know what? I could still add a floral here on the side if I wanted to. I could take one of these flowers and we could just, do you want to do that? All right, we'll do that. I'm gonna take, what color? I think, do we do a shocking red, or do we kind of go with a purple? I always kind of default to purple because I think purple is a little bit more generic. So let's make sure the stamp is clean. So we want to add this here. I'm going to use the side tulip, and I'm going to put this right here. And then I'm going to grab this one. Will this card ever be finished? Scrap piece of paper. Stamp off once and add right here, and then we can take our stem. We're just making this card better and better, right? The only problem is you have to know when to stop, because sometimes we take things a little too far, and then it doesn't look good anymore because we've gone too crazy. All right, I'm gonna lay my stem down here. Ooh, pretty, pretty. And how am I gonna add this one? Maybe I'll just do one leaf this way. The nice thing with these, yeah, I think I'm just going to do that. The nice thing with these see-through stamps, these photopolymer, is you can really kind of get a feel for how things will go. All right, there we go. Just a little tulip. So because the way I write cards, I start up at the top and then I sign my name down here at the bottom. So this would be a really good spot to sign my name down at the bottom. So that kind of just gives you like a really kind of nice flow for the card, and it helps break up some of the big white space. If you're not a writer like me, I spend more of my time creating than I do writing. So sometimes I need a little help filling up my space because I don't always have the words. I can speak the words, I just can't write them down nicely. So that is how I would do the card. So there you go. Kind of put them both in the screen, and I think they, they match up nicely, the front with the inside. So what do you think? And then I've got this card too, which is a little simpler. And if you wanted to, you could use the colorful paper here. I just opted to go with a really kind of a more generic look for paper. So there is my card, and I hope you're going to play along. Hello, I'm back. I would not be doing my job if I did not tell you that this Thursday we are having a free shipping special. It's a free shipping day, and your order needs to be at least $75, but then your shipping will be free. It's one day only, Thursday, April 21st, 2022. And so if you have some things that you want to still get off the last chance list, or let's say our card stock, our ink pads, ink refills, all those things are going up with the new catalog that starts in May. So if you're want to stock up on some card stock, now's a good time to do that, because you're going to get your the price that it's at right now, plus you won't have to pay for shipping. So good time to stock up on all of those things. All right, let's talk to you guys, and I remind you that on Friday I will have a YouTube video, a YouTube live at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so don't miss out if you like 3Ds or fanciful cards. That's usually what I do on Friday. I am going to say hello to all of you today. Good morning, Karen, and she has a cloudy day in New Jersey. Karen says walking outside rejuvenates her more, and I agree. I just feel I feel stale today. That's what I feel. I feel like I haven't been aired out yet. Good morning, Betty. Good morning, Cindy from Washington. Good morning. Oh, and Betty's from Oregon. Karen said, there's always lots of inspiration on your Casing Tuesday Facebook page. There is. I mean, it's really nice to see different people post. We have beginners, we have more advanced people. It's a nice range. So don't feel like you have to be like this pro stamper to start posting your cards. I think the most important thing is to start posting them, because what happens sometimes is you get really in your head and you think, oh, my card's just not good enough. And you know what? We're all at different stages, and we're very supportive of each other over there. So don't feel like your card won't be good enough. It is very important to, start showing people your stuff. I remember when I started years and years ago, if you go back, my first posts were on Split Coast Stampers. And some of the cards I look back now, and I've learned so much then, and not that they were that they were ugly. It was just that it was me starting out, but I had to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. So you have to start where you're at. If you're a beginner right now, of course, well, maybe your cards might look better than mine. It could be. It just depends on your artistic ability. But most of the time, if you start a new hobby, you're not going to be at the same skill level as someone that's been doing it for almost 20 years, right? So start where you're at, start showing your work, start sending out your cards. Don't hide them. That's the worst thing you can do. Okay, I digress. All right. Good morning, Ellie from New York. She said 3 inches here, but oh, you got snow. Oh my gosh, I missed the snowy part. I'm sorry about that. We did not get snow. I am glad we did not get snow. That would have made me very sad. Snow in April is just not right. Good morning, Janine and Geraldine. How are you doing, Geraldine? It's nice to see you here. Haven't seen you for a while. Good morning, Deborah from Virginia Beach. Karen says she loves my alternate card. Thank you. Ellie thanked me for showing both sizes. You know, some people don't like to create the slimline cards, but I wanted to point out we do now have slim line envelopes, and they are carrying over into the catalog, the new catalog, and they come in 3 different colors. I probably would not use the soft succulent color because it's a little bit of a blue-green and it might clash just a little bit with the card base that I chose. But you could do either white or the gray. I'd probably do the white in this case. And they're lined, so they've got like a pretty pattern on the inside. So I cut my card so that it would fit inside the slim line envelope. So you can see right here, whoops, zoom out a bit. So we do have envelopes now that will fit those cards, and they are mailable with US Post, and they, as long as they are not overweight or too lumpy, they can fit through that, you know, little slot. You're just gonna, it's just one postage stamp. If it's like a regular weight, the same weight as, I can't remember what the cutoff is, but if you go, it's like mailing a bill or something like that. It's just as long as you don't go over, it's just one postage stamp, and you can use the envelopes, and so all is good. So don't be scared of doing slim lines if you're hesitant about them. They can be mailed, and they're a little different. You know, we don't always get cards that are tall or long and skinny, so they're a little something fun to get in the mail, other than a bill, because usually that's what comes in those envelopes, bills. Surprise someone with a card that might look like a bill, but it isn't. All right. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, Kimberly, Ann, and Dee. Ellie says 2-step flowers are so unique. Well, you know, they are, they're not completely unique, but they are cool because we've had them ever since I started stamping. We've had 2 steps. That's what I actually fell in love with first, are the 2 steps. And they are unique in the sense of stamping because I can stamp a floral very quickly, and someone who would have to draw that, it would take them a lot longer. So it's a very cool thing that we have in stamping, and Stampin' Up! Often has these beautiful 2 steps, even 3 steps, because the tulip with the center, actually, that's a 3rd step that you add in, that you can add in a different color. Or have you ever seen 2-tone tulips, like the yellow-red tulips? They're really pretty, so you can do a stamp in yellow, one stamp in red, the center in black. So it is very neat. Good morning, Elizabeth. I didn't do a purple side one. Oh yes, I didn't do one, but it's very simple. So just, I'll show you. I'll do a purple side one. Whoops. Let's go over. Let's do a purple side one. A purple side tulip. Elizabeth said I didn't do a purple side tulip, so let me do one. I've got a scrap piece. So basically, it's just the same. I used kind of a bold color, and that allows me, this is this one, Full Strength in Highland Heather. And then you need a little scrap piece to stamp off. And then you do this kind of, it's just kind of a petal, and you stamp off. And then you just line it up. See, right here, there's like kind of a white empty space. That's what you line up those two little petals in. And that's how you do the little side one for the Highland Heather. And basically, you could do this with any color. The only color it would be difficult to do with it is a really light color, because then the second stamping isn't strong enough. So you need like a color that at least has like some medium depth to it. So you could do it with Gorgeous Grape, you could do it with Real Red or Melon Mambo. But it needs to, I wouldn't do it, for instance, Fresh Freesia would probably be too light, and Pale Papaya would be too light. But if it has like a medium to dark strength, you can definitely do that. And that's how you would do the side one for the Highland Heather or the purple one. I know I missed one of the colors. How terrible of me. Okay. Hello, let's see. Dee likes the card. Jenna says, love the tips and such a beautiful card and layout. Big thanks from Canada. Well, hello, Janice from Canada, and nice to have you here. Janine says she loved my squirrel story. It was, sorry, my stamping was distracting my squirrel story, but basically the squirrel survived. I'm not sure if he survived past the day. His one eye looked a little red, and I am worried about him, but not too many people rehabilitate squirrels. And also, it wouldn't have made his day for me to rehabilitate the squirrel in my house or any in a shed or whatever. I just wanted to protect the little guy until he could get back on his feet. Or what I would have done is I would have moved him off. If he was truly totally stunned that he couldn't move right away, my goal was to move him off the road and then watch him over there. But this lady had come along with this stroller, and she had a dog with her too. And dogs, they can sometimes lurch and just go after a squirrel. I know I've had dogs before. They're just, it's instinctual. And so I warned her. I said, hey, there's a squirrel on the road and it's still alive, and would you mind just or making sure you have your dog under control, because I want to give the squirrel a chance to survive. And so she actually crossed the street to the other side, and the dog didn't even notice that there was a squirrel, thankfully. But while I was kind of doing that, the squirrel actually, it was laying on its back and it had actually flipped onto its side. So that made me really happy, because I'm like, okay, at least the little guy's not paralyzed. He doesn't have a spinal cord injury. And so he could hopefully just catch his breath. And then as the other person came out to help us, he made some noise, and that again startled the squirrel, and that's when he ran up the tree that was nearby. And he didn't get very far up the tree, but thankfully by then he had enough. Anyway, it's just nice, and it was a nice Easter morning story, because just touched my heart. Anyway, that was more to the story, but probably a bunch of repetition. Good morning, Nina. Good to see you. And you're up early this morning, all the way on the west coast there. Janine said her animal story for the day is Bambi and my hostas for breakfast today. Oh no, they like hostas? I didn't know that. So, okay. Well, I don't know if you mind that, but I somehow think sometimes, we've taken over a lot of the natural critters' land, that sometimes we have to sacrifice some of our landscaping to them. That's my thought. I really love animals. Mary says she loves the tulip paper. Yes, that tulip paper is awesome. Betty says, rainy Oregon all week long is expected. I'm sorry. Summer will be here, and hopefully Oregon in summer is a little sunnier. Oh, Betty wants to see how the cards stand up. I can do that. Okay, so the card, it's kind of hard with a down camera to show you, but it stands up like, you know, a regular type card. So that's the top view. You know, basically it's just like, you know, a tent. So it's just, you know, you've got just a little bit less of a view, but it stands, you know, just as well as a regular card. It's just going to take up more length space. You know what you could also do, I'm just thinking, you know, you could also, you know, do a card that the other way around, you know, flip the greeting, the flowers. I mean, they even don't look too bad. I might not have the length going this way though. What I might do is I might turn my bow a little bit and tie it down here at the bottom. But this is how it would stand up if it were like a long card. You could do it that way too. You just have to maneuver something around a little bit. So these cards actually stand quite nicely. We've got envelopes for them. They cost the same as a regular card. So give them a try. They are definitely a little different. Some people are reluctant to try them because they're a little bit different, but challenge yourself. Do try out a card. I started off, I wanted to do a slightly different card, but then it didn't have all the elements in it. Okay, you want to see my prototype? I wanted to use Cactus Cuties. So I just kind of started off with just kind of like a prototype. This card would have been kind of fun to stamp. But the one problem with this one was that it took up too much height, and I was gonna maybe put like the ribbon across here. I don't know. I that was kind of like my original thought process for the card, and I would have shifted and centered things a little bit, but I really wanted to use all the cacti kind of in the agave and all of that right across, and that was kind of my original concept for the card, but it didn't really fit the layout perfectly, so I scrapped that idea. I guess I could have used it instead of the paper, but anyway, I just thought that this went more with the original kind of theme of the card, and I really wanted to use the flowering tulips. But I also really wanted to use the Cactus Cuties because they were really cute. So you can see how when I am designing, I cut myself up some scrap computer paper, and I always have a stack of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 because that's the size I create the most in. I always have a stack cut up, and I use this as a template, and I always start stamping on here. And sometimes, like with this one, I didn't use too many colors. Like I probably would have changed maybe the colors layout afterwards. I just want to kind of get like a design out onto the paper and just start playing with it. And so I don't care so much when I first start stamping, whether or not things are perfect. You know, like I have one planter hanging off the edge right here. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't matter right now. I will just kind of get everything down on paper. And so, yeah, that was in my garbage. I still kind of want to create a card like that, but I don't know if I'll get around to it. Cactus Cuties is retiring in June. I love that. It's just so cute. And we only had it in one catalog. So that kind of makes me a little sad. But if you like plants, make sure you get that one before it retires. All right, guys, I talked way too long today, and I hope you have a great week. I hope you've survived the Easter feasting and the sugar overload, the chocolate. We didn't have too much chocolate here. We didn't have any chocolate here. We just had carrot cake here for dessert this weekend. And I kind of kept things, it was just my husband and I. Our son, he's up in Canada, and he went to go visit his grandparents on Easter because he has all of his grandparents live in Canada, and he goes to school in Canada. So he visited the grandparents that live close to him. And so he got to spend Easter with them. But that meant my husband and I, we were alone for Easter. But that's the way things work out when your son goes to another country to study. All right, I will let you guys go. And I hope you have a great week. And I will hopefully see you on Friday. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.